Covenant heir. What I am about to reveal will shift your entire reality. If you are listening to this right now, it is not a coincidence. God has drawn you here because this message was meant for you. Your struggles are no longer yours to carry. The weight of financial hardship, the endless waiting, the silent prayers you whispered in desperation, they are all being answered right now. God has already declared abundance over your life. You are not forgotten. You are not destined for lack. You were chosen to walk in divine prosperity. What has been delayed is about to be released. The doors that seemed locked forever are opening in your favor. The blessings you thought were out of reach are already on their way. Those who doubted you, who looked down on you in your season of struggle, will soon witness your elevation. This is your moment. This is your season. Nothing can stop the wealth and favor that are moving toward you. But before we go deeper into this powerful revelation, I need you to take action. Like this video, subscribe to help spread this message, and comment "I am a covenant heir" below. Let this be your declaration of faith. Now let's unlock the truth about your divine inheritance. For too long, you have been living beneath your calling. You have struggled, wondering if wealth and success were ever meant for you. You've worked tirelessly, yet the breakthrough always seemed just out of reach. You have watched others rise while you remain in the same place. Despite your prayers, efforts, and faith, no matter how much you believe, it feels like the doors of abundance are locked against you. You may have even begun to question, why do others succeed while I continue to struggle? You've tried everything, working harder, saving more, searching for new opportunities. Yet the financial security you desire never fully arrives. The cycle repeats itself. Unexpected bills, lost chances, moments of despair, and silent prayers that seem unanswered. You may have thought, maybe God's favor isn't for me. Maybe I am meant to struggle. Maybe abundance is for others, not for me. At times, you've even blamed yourself. Maybe you weren't faithful enough, didn't pray enough, didn't do enough. You look around and wonder why others seem to attract blessings effortlessly while you fight for every small victory. But deep inside, something won't let you give up. There is a quiet whisper in your spirit telling you that you were created for more. A sense that this struggle is not your final destiny, that something greater is waiting just beyond what you can see. What if everything you've believed about money and faith is only part of the truth? What if the real reason you haven't stepped into financial abundance has nothing to do with your efforts, but everything to do with unlocking the covenant promise that was already given to you? Because here's the truth. God never created you to live in lack. He designed you to walk in abundance, favor, and overflow. But many believers are living outside of this promise simply because they don't know how to claim it. Before we move forward, I want you to take a moment and comment below. Have you ever felt like financial increase was out of reach for you? Let me know. Now, let's uncover what God is really saying about your wealth and why everything is about to change. What if everything you've been told about wealth, faith, and struggle has been incomplete? What if the reason you've been stuck in financial lack isn't because you're not trying hard enough, not praying enough, or not faithful enough, but because you haven't yet stepped into the full inheritance that was already promised to you? God has already placed abundance in your path. The wealth you've been praying for isn't something you need to beg for. It is something you need to claim. But here's the truth most people never realize. God's promises require action. Think about it. When God made a covenant with Abraham, He didn't just give him wealth. He gave him an instruction that led to wealth. When He blessed Solomon with wisdom, He also gave him the responsibility to use it. Now, the same principle applies to you. God's covenant for wealth is already written in your favor, but you have to step into it. For too long, you may have been waiting on God to move, but in reality, He has been waiting on you. The moment you were born, God placed a divine inheritance within you. He designed you for more than just survival. He created you to prosper, to build, to multiply, and to bless others through your abundance. But if you do not recognize your inheritance, you will never walk in it. Imagine a king's son, born into royalty but unaware of his position. He could live his entire life as a beggar, never knowing that his father had already prepared wealth, land, and power for him. That son could struggle, suffer, and lack all because he never claimed what was already his. That is what many believers do today. They live as if they are powerless, as if they must work and strive for every blessing, not realizing that they are heirs to God's kingdom. You are a covenant heir, and that means you have a divine right to financial abundance. But a right that is never acted upon remains unused. This is where most people miss their moment. They wait, they hesitate, they second guess. But you are different. You wouldn't be hearing this message if God wasn't calling you to something greater. You are not here by accident. You are standing at a crossroads. You can keep living in uncertainty, waiting for blessings to come. Or you can choose to act, to unlock the divine principles that lead to prosperity, and step into the financial abundance that is already yours. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. God is calling you into a season of abundance, but He will not force you to walk into it. The choice is yours. Will you take the step of faith? Will you claim what has already been written in your name? Comment below, I am ready for God's wealth, and let's unlock the divine truths that will transform your life forever. You have been waiting for a financial breakthrough, but what if everything you need has already been written? Throughout history, God has never left His people without guidance. When He made a covenant with Abraham, He sealed it with a promise. When He gave Solomon wisdom, He documented the principles of wealth. These divine secrets were never meant to be hidden, but to be discovered by those who seek them. Right now, you have the opportunity to uncover what has been waiting for you all along. The scroll of divine wealth has already been written, and it is time for you to read it. But most people never open it. They pray for abundance while ignoring the very instructions that lead to it. They work harder and struggle more, thinking that financial blessings come only through effort, forgetting that true wealth is a divine gift that must be received in faith. God's wealth is not earned. It is inherited. An inheritance isn't something you fight for. It's something that already has your name on it. But if you don't claim it, it remains locked away, unused and forgotten. Think about it. If a wealthy father wrote a will leaving his entire fortune to his children, but the children never read it, never signed for it, and never took action, the money would sit untouched. It was always theirs, but their ignorance kept them in lack. Many believers live this way. They are heirs to a kingdom, yet they live like beggars. They pray for what they already own. They ask for permission when God has already given them authority. And that's why today, God is calling you to open your divine inheritance. The scroll is before you. The treasury is unlocked. The wealth of the kingdom is within reach. But only those who take action will walk in it. Will you be one of them? Will you receive what has already been declared over your life? This is your confirmation. If you are hearing this right now, it means God is inviting you into something greater. He has placed this message in your path as a sign that you are ready. Before we continue, declare it aloud and type it in the comments. I am ready to receive God's wealth. Because from this moment on, you are stepping into a new understanding of prosperity. You are breaking free from lack. You are unlocking what was always yours. Now let's dive deeper into how you can claim your divine inheritance. Up until this moment, you have stood at the threshold, knowing that something greater was waiting for you. You have heard the call, felt the stirring in your spirit, and now the time has come to take the first step. But stepping into wealth, true, divine, kingdom wealth, requires something deeper than just belief. It requires movement. It requires obedience. Throughout history, every great breakthrough began with a departure, a moment where faith demanded action. When God told Abraham to leave his homeland, He didn't show him the full picture. He simply said, "Go to the land I will show you." Abraham's departure activated his covenant of blessing. When Peter stepped out of the boat, he defied natural laws. As long as he kept his eyes on Jesus, he walked on water. His departure from the boat brought him into the supernatural. When the Israelites left Egypt, they stepped out of slavery and into their promised inheritance. Now God is asking the same of you. Will you step out of financial fear and into divine abundance? Will you leave behind the mindset of lack, of hesitation, of waiting for someone else to open doors for you? The covenant of wealth has already been written in your name, but you must take the step to claim it. Maybe that step is trusting God with your finances for the first time. Maybe it is seeking His wisdom over your investments, your career, your business. Maybe it is breaking generational cycles of lack and believing that you were meant to thrive, not just survive. Right now you are standing where Abraham stood, on the edge of your promise. What you do next will determine whether you enter into wealth or remain in hesitation. This is your moment. This is your departure. Declare it right now in the comments. I step into my financial breakthrough. Let's move forward, because what comes next will change everything. Stepping into God's covenant of wealth is not without resistance. The moment you make the decision to claim your divine inheritance, the enemy takes notice. Doubt will whisper, telling you it's not for you. Fear will try to convince you to turn back. Unexpected struggles may rise. Financial delays, losses, discouragement from those around you. Everything will seem to push against your faith, making you wonder, did God really call me to wealth? But this is the test. This is the moment that separates those who walk in divine abundance from those who turn back to a life of lack. Every great biblical figure faced trials before stepping into their promise. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers and later imprisoned before becoming the second most powerful man in Egypt. Job lost everything, his wealth, his health, his family, before receiving a double portion of restoration. Moses wandered in the desert for 40 years before leading his people to the promised land. Even Jesus himself was tested in the wilderness before stepping fully into his divine mission. The enemy knows your breakthrough is near. That's why he fights you hardest now. You may face people who mock your belief in divine prosperity. You may hear voices telling you that wealth and faith don't belong together. You may see your finances being attacked, as if things are getting worse instead of better. But listen carefully. This is not the end. It is only the test. This fire is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to refine you. Wealth without wisdom is dangerous. Success without character leads to ruin. That's why trials come first, to strengthen your faith, sharpen your discernment, and prepare you for the abundance that is coming. Because when God releases wealth into your hands, He expects you to handle it wisely. He expects you to multiply it, to bless others, to build His kingdom. This season of trials is your preparation. You are standing in the middle of the battlefield. The forces of doubt, fear, and delay are trying to surround you. The question is, will you stand firm or will you turn back? The enemy wants you to quit before you receive the promise. Don't let him win. Declare it now in the comments. I will endure and claim my inheritance. Because once you pass this test, the gates of wealth will open, and you will never be the same again. Now, let's move forward and uncover the next step in claiming what is yours. You have fought the battle. You have endured the trials. And now, you stand before the final challenge. This is the moment just before breakthrough. The moment when everything is about to shift. The enemy knows it, and that is why the resistance feels stronger than ever. This is the approach, the threshold between struggle and abundance. Every hero in the Bible faced this moment. Joseph had to stand before Pharaoh, interpret his dream, and prove his wisdom before being elevated to the throne. David had to step onto the battlefield, face Goliath, and strike him down before becoming king. Moses had to stretch out his hand before the Red Sea parted. Even Jesus had to pass through Gethsemane, wrestling with the weight of destiny before stepping into resurrection glory. The moment just before victory is always the hardest. Right now, you may feel the weight of the journey. The trials have exhausted you. The waiting has tested your patience. You have fought battles that no one else sees, faced storms that others wouldn't survive. And now you stand at the doorway. You can see it, the golden vault of God's abundance, the doors to divine prosperity, the wealth that was always meant to be yours. But something stands in your way. This final challenge is not a physical battle. It is a battle of faith. Doubt will whisper, maybe this isn't for me. Fear will lie. What if I step forward and fail? The past will haunt you. You've tried before. Why would this time be different? And this is where most people turn back. This is why so many never step into their inheritance. Not because they weren't called, not because they weren't chosen, but because they let fear stop them when they were only one step away. But you are not like them. You have come too far to turn back now. Right now, all of heaven is watching. The angels are standing by, waiting to celebrate your victory. The heavens are moving. The final test is here. This is where faith must be stronger than fear. This is where you step forward, against all odds, and claim what has already been written in your name. Declare it in the comments, I am ready to claim my inheritance. Because once you take this step, there is no turning back. The promise is yours. Now let's uncover the final mystery before you step into your breakthrough. You are one step away from breakthrough, one step away from walking through the doors of divine wealth. But suddenly, everything shakes. This is the crisis, the final battle before inheritance. The moment you are closest to your breakthrough is also the moment when the enemy strikes hardest. Fear surges like a storm. Doubt grows louder than ever. The weight of your past failures, your financial struggles, your self-doubt, it all comes rushing back. You begin to wonder, did I misunderstand God's promise? What if I step forward and nothing changes? What if this isn't really for me? The pressure is unbearable. It feels like the entire world is pushing against you, trying to force you to turn back. This moment is where many fail. This is where even the strongest warriors hesitate. Abraham faced this crisis when he was told to sacrifice Isaac, the very son through whom God's promise would come. Moses faced this crisis when Pharaoh's army chased them to the edge of the Red Sea. There was no way forward, only water ahead and death behind. Jesus faced this crisis in the Garden of Gethsemane, sweating blood as he wrestled with his destiny. The moment before glory is always the darkest. This is when the enemy wants you to give up, to stop believing, to turn back, to stay small, because he knows if you take one more step, you will step into abundance. He knows that if you push through this moment, everything changes forever. But here is the truth. This storm is not your ending. It is your test. The enemy would not be fighting this hard if your breakthrough wasn't real. This moment is your Red Sea, your Gethsemane, your final proving ground. And what you do next will determine everything. Will you give up or will you stand? Will you turn back or will you walk forward, even when everything inside of you is screaming to stop? Declare it now, I will not turn back. Because beyond this storm is something greater than you have ever imagined. The battle may be fierce, but you are stronger. The enemy may roar, but you will not be shaken. You are not leaving here empty-handed. Hold your ground, because the storm is about to break. And when it does, the gates of wealth will open like never before. Now let's step into the moment that changes everything. The storm has passed. The battle is over. And now, you stand in the place God has been leading you to all along. The treasure, the divine inheritance that was always yours. The pain you endured, the trials you faced, the moments when you wanted to give up, it was all leading to this. When Joseph was thrown into the pit, he could not see the throne that awaited him. When Moses stood at the Red Sea, he did not yet see the promised land. When Jesus hung on the cross, the resurrection was still ahead. Every battle has a reward, every test has a treasure, and this is yours. The doors of divine wealth are now before you. The golden vault of God's abundance has been unlocked. The scrolls of biblical financial wisdom are now in your hands. What once seemed impossible has become reality. The wealth you once prayed for is now within reach. But more than money, more than possessions, this treasure is wisdom, access, authority. This is generational wealth, kingdom impact, legacy beyond measure. You are no longer the person who doubted, who feared, who hesitated. You are the covenant heir, stepping into the full promise of divine prosperity. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of a new era of abundance. Now, as you step forward, remember this. Wealth is a tool. You were not given this inheritance just for yourself. It is meant to be multiplied, to be used for good, to create impact beyond what you can imagine. God has entrusted you with this treasure. Now, what will you do with it? Declare it in the comments. I receive God's divine treasure. Because from this moment on, your life will never be the same again. The vault is open. The treasure is yours. Step forward and claim it. The battle is over. The storm is past. You have walked through fire, endured the trials, faced your greatest fears, and now you stand victorious. This is the result, the moment everything changes. The wealth you once prayed for, the abundance you once dreamed of, the breakthrough that once felt impossible. It is now your reality. The vault of divine inheritance has been opened, and you have stepped inside. The scrolls of financial wisdom have been placed in your hands. The crown of authority rests on your head. But what has truly changed is you. You are no longer the same person who doubted. You are no longer the one who feared. You are no longer standing on the outside, wondering if the promise is real. You have claimed your inheritance. And because of that, your life, your legacy, your destiny will never be the same. What happens now? Your mind is transformed. You no longer see wealth as a struggle, but as a divine right given to those who follow God's principles. Your faith is unshakable. You have seen the battle, felt the resistance, and walked through the fire. Nothing can make you doubt your calling again. Your responsibility has grown. Wealth is no longer just about you. Now you are called to multiply it, to build with it, to bless with it. This is generational wealth. This is kingdom impact. This is what happens when a covenant heir steps into their purpose. But be warned, this is only the beginning. Many receive wealth but do not know how to keep it. Many receive success but forget who gave it to them. Many step into abundance but fail to use it for kingdom purpose. You must be different. God has entrusted you with more because He knows you are capable of handling more. So now the question is, what will you do with your wealth? How will you multiply it? How will you use it to impact the kingdom? How will you ensure that this inheritance does not stop with you, but continues for generations? Declare it in the comments, I will multiply God's wealth. Because now, you are not just a receiver of abundance. You are a distributor of divine blessings. The test is over. The promise is fulfilled. Now the real work begins. Let's step forward into the next chapter of divine prosperity. The journey is complete. You have fought, endured, and overcome. You have been tested and refined. You have walked through the fire. And now you emerge not as the person you once were, but as the one God always meant for you to be. The covenant of wealth is no longer a promise waiting to be fulfilled. It is now your reality. You have stepped into divine abundance. You have unlocked the sacred vaults of financial wisdom. You are a covenant heir, marked, chosen, and entrusted with wealth for a purpose greater than yourself. But now you stand at a new threshold. This is not just the end of a journey. This is your return. The responsibility of a covenant heir. What happens next is what truly defines you. Because wealth is not just for receiving. It is for building, for blessing, for expanding. Every great biblical figure who walked in divine prosperity had one thing in common. They did not keep their wealth to themselves. Joseph stored up wealth in times of plenty to save generations from famine. Solomon built the greatest kingdom of wisdom, ensuring that prosperity was not lost, but multiplied. Abraham did not just receive blessings. He became a blessing to all nations. Now God has given you the same opportunity. He has entrusted you with more than just riches. He has given you the power to create, to expand, and to influence. The question is, what will you do with it? This is the true test of a covenant heir. Not how much wealth you receive, but how you use it. The two paths. There are two types of people who receive wealth. Those who keep it for themselves, hoarding, fearing, and eventually losing it. Those who expand it, multiplying their impact, ensuring that their wealth lasts beyond their lifetime. Which one will you be? The enemy wants you to believe that wealth is dangerous, that success will change you, that the moment you return to the world with abundance, you will lose sight of God. But listen carefully. Wealth does not change you, it reveals you. If you are faithful, wealth will magnify your faithfulness. If you are generous, wealth will magnify your generosity. If you are wise, wealth will magnify your wisdom. This is why only a few are entrusted with divine abundance, because few are ready to handle the responsibility that comes with it. But you are not like the rest. You have been tested. You have been refined. You have been called to be a builder of something greater than yourself. And now your mission is clear. The mission of a covenant heir. The world is waiting for leaders who will not be ruled by greed. The kingdom needs builders who will not waste their wealth on vanity. Generations are waiting for those who will break the cycle of lack and step into divine prosperity with wisdom and purpose. And that is why you are here. This is your return, not as the person who started this journey, but as the one who has conquered it. You return to your family as a leader, breaking generational financial curses. You return to your community as a builder, expanding God's kingdom. You return to the world as a light, using your wealth to uplift others. The journey to wealth was never just about you. It was about what you will do with it. It was about the generations that will follow you, the lives that will be impacted, the kingdom that will expand because of your obedience. You now hold the keys. The golden vault remains open, because divine abundance never runs dry. The scrolls of wisdom are in your hands, because knowledge must be passed down, never hidden. The crown of inheritance rests on your head, because you have proven yourself worthy of the blessing. The next chapter begins now. But make no mistake, this is not the end. This is only the beginning. Because true wealth is not measured in what you gain. It is measured in what you leave behind. Will you multiply what God has given you? Will you invest in kingdom expansion? Will you ensure that this wealth does not stop with you, but continues for generations? You have passed every test. You have received every blessing. Now you must walk as one who has been entrusted with more. Declare it now in the comments. I will use my wealth for God's purpose. Because now, you are not just a receiver of abundance. You are a distributor of divine blessings. This is the return. This is the beginning of your true mission. Now go forward and build something eternal. You have crossed the threshold. You have fought through the storm, endured the trials, unlocked the covenant, and returned, not as the person you were, but as the person God always intended you to be. Now you walk in a new reality, a new life, a new identity. The days of doubt are over. The days of scarcity are behind you. You no longer wonder if abundance is real. You now live in it. You no longer chase wealth. Wealth now follows you. You no longer fear lack. You now operate from divine overflow. You no longer question your calling. You now walk in full authority as a covenant heir. Everything about you has changed. Your mind is different. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. Your faith is unshakable. You no longer waver when challenges arise. Your purpose is clear. You know that wealth is not just for you. It is for the generations that will follow. This is the new life of a covenant heir. A life of wisdom. A life of expansion. A life of unstoppable impact. The transformation of a covenant heir. This journey was never just about receiving wealth. It was about becoming the person who could carry it. Before you saw money as a struggle, now you see it as a tool. Before you feared the future, now you build the future. Before you lived in survival mode, now you operate in kingdom dominion. What once felt impossible is now your new normal. This is what happens when a person fully steps into God's divine blueprint for financial success. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just a moment, it's a way of life. Living in divine overflow. The world teaches people to fight for survival, to chase after money, to work endlessly for success. But a covenant heir does not live by the world's rules. Where others struggle, you will thrive. Where others fear recession, you will walk in overflow. Where others panic about the future, you will rest in divine security. Because you don't depend on a system. You don't depend on luck. You don't depend on the economy. You depend on the God who owns it all. And when you truly understand that, lack becomes impossible. This is new life, where blessings are not temporary, but eternal. This is new life, where wealth is not just received, but multiplied. This is new life, where you don't just walk in abundance, you create it for others. Your new mission begins. The covenant has been fulfilled. The wealth has been unlocked. The authority has been given. Now you step into the world as a kingdom financier, a divine investor, a builder of eternal prosperity. Because you are not just a receiver, you are a distributor. You are called to build businesses that honor God, establish generational wealth that outlives you, support kingdom projects that expand the message of faith, fund visions, ministries, and missions that bring light to the world. This is not just a new chapter. This is an entirely new reality. You do not go back to the old ways. You do not shrink. You expand. You do not wait for permission. You take action. You do not hoard. You multiply. This is your new life. The world may stay the same, but you have changed. Declare it now in the comments. I am living in God's divine overflow. Because from this moment forward, you are no longer waiting for abundance. You are abundance. Now go forth and reign. It is finished. The journey has been long. The trials have been intense. But now, the transformation is complete. You are no longer the person who questioned their destiny. You are no longer the one who feared stepping into wealth. You are no longer standing outside the gates of your inheritance. You are a covenant heir. This is the resolution, the moment when everything falls into place. Everything you have fought for, everything you have endured, everything you have sacrificed, it was all leading to this. The doubts, the fear, the resistance, they were never meant to break you. They were meant to build you. You needed the struggle so you could appreciate the blessing. You needed the test so you could be trusted with the treasure. You needed the battle so you could walk in full authority. And now you do. You have stepped into the fullness of your inheritance. You have unlocked the divine laws of financial prosperity. You have proven yourself ready for the next level. And now, the real journey begins. The final confirmation of a covenant heir. A covenant heir does not just receive wealth. They walk in authority over it. They do not fear loss because they know abundance is endless. They do not hesitate because they understand that wealth is a tool, not a master. They do not shrink back because they carry the power to multiply and expand. This is your resolution. You are no longer chasing wealth. Wealth is following you. You are no longer bound by the world's financial system. You operate in divine overflow. You are no longer uncertain of your purpose. You are walking in kingdom impact. And this is only the beginning. Because wealth without wisdom is wasted. Because success without purpose is empty. Because financial breakthrough without expansion is meaningless. But you are different. You are called to multiply what has been entrusted to you. You are called to establish something that will outlive you. You are called to use your wealth to build what cannot be shaken. This is the resolution. The final step of the journey. The moment where all doubts fade away. The moment where you step fully into your divine calling. Your legacy begins now. The vault is open. The scrolls are in your hands. The crown is on your head. Now it is time to build. To create. To expand. To leave a mark that cannot be erased. This is where generational wealth begins. This is where kingdom businesses rise. This is where financial freedom is no longer a dream. It is a lifestyle. But most importantly, this is where you shift from being a receiver of wealth to a distributor of blessings. Because your wealth is not just for you. It is for your family. It is for your community. It is for the kingdom. This is not about personal gain. This is about divine impact. And now you have everything you need to fulfill your calling. Declare it in the comments. I am a covenant heir. My legacy begins now. Because from this moment forward, you no longer wait for wealth. You walk in it. You expand it. You use it for God's glory. Go forth and reign. This is it. You have walked the path. You have fought the battles. You have claimed your inheritance. But remember, this is not the end. This is just the beginning of a new era of divine wealth, wisdom, and unstoppable kingdom impact. Now it is time to multiply. Now it is time to expand. Now it is time to step fully into your next mission. But there's still one more thing you need to know. The journey of wealth doesn't stop with receiving. It continues with mastery. God has given you access, but do you know how to keep, grow, and multiply what you've received? Do you know the hidden biblical laws that govern generational wealth? Do you understand how to move from breakthrough to sustained financial dominion? If you're serious about walking in permanent prosperity and never falling back into financial struggle, then you must watch this next video. Your wealth journey isn't over, it's just getting started. Click the next video now to uncover the secrets of divine multiplication and unstoppable kingdom expansion. Type in the comments, I am ready for the next level. Because the journey continues, and your greatest breakthrough is still ahead. Click the next video now, your future depends on it.